Okay, hi folks. Welcome to the Will to Win podcast. I'm your host, Will Cook, and today I have a very special guest. For the folks in the tri-state area, he needs no introduction. We affectionately refer to him as HoJo. His name is Howard Johnson, and he's had a 14-year career in Major League Baseball. And so, Howard, welcome to the show.
Well,
Appreciate
thank you
you.
very much. Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh,
Good to
you're
be
very
here.
welcome. Great. I'm glad. So, Howard, let's go back to your childhood. You and I, before we came on the call officially, we were talking about you coaching Little League and stuff like that, and we had a neat conversation there. So, trace us back to when it began for you. When did you start playing baseball, and how old were you?
And I was a little guy. I mean, it seems like nowadays they start younger and younger. My dad told me I was switch hitting at 4 years old. That's what he was working on. And I just remember my dad throwing to me in the back of the yard and hit me hitting and breaking a window here and there. He would literally we would go to so where I went to elementary school was in Clearwater, Florida at Bel Air Elementary, and they had a field in the back there in their playground area. And my dad would throw to me almost every day. So he would meet me after school. We'd go up there, and he had a bucket of balls, and he'd just throw, and I would hit from both sides, and then he'd hit me ground balls, and then my mom, my brother, my sister would be out there. Uh, my brother especially was out there. He played baseball a little bit too, but just through little league and stuff. But yeah, they would shag and just do things with me. And my dad would always be, working with me, teaching me, what to do, how to swing the bat. Nothing, too specific other than just, put the bat on the ball, man. Just be aggressive. And as I got older, we just continued to work together. And he was a Navy guy and very disciplined. So I learned about discipline. I learned about the value of practice and stuff through him.
Right. Oh, wow. Okay. So, along that line, as Dad was coaching you, and it sounded like it was a family affair. It sounds like everybody was
Hmm.
kind of involved, and that he was giving you kind of basic ideas about the game and how to approach it. When did you start to stand out? Like, when did you start to notice there was a difference between you and the other kids? Because I'm sure that started to happen at some point.
Yeah, it started pretty early. I mean, I always had success in little league and younger even. Uh, they didn't have t-ball back then. It was coach pitch.
Okay.
Pitchers even pitch sometimes. The kids. So I always had success. I could always hit. Had a great arm. My dad used to work on me throwing. He'd catch. I'd pitch to him and stuff. So that developed very well, and those tools served me very well going forward because if you have a strong arm, you can play anywhere on the field. My dad told me when I was very very little, I was left-handed, through lefty, hit lefty,
Mhm.
everything. I still kick left-footed. You know, I'm I'm a natural left-hand hitter. Learned how to hit right-handed, but I was a natural left-handed thrower. My dad changed me, converted me to throw right-handed. And
Wow.
so, yeah, so years later, I asked him, I go, why did you do that? What was your reasoning behind that? And he goes, well, if you throw right-handed, you can play any position on the diamond. And I thought that was pretty clever of him to think like that.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's how I ended up throwing right-handed. I had a great arm. I pitched all through Little League, did very, very well. Um, won most of my games, pitched well in high school. Actually got drafted as a pitcher slash outfielder by the Tigers in January of 85. Sorry, 1979. And
Okay.
yeah, so 1979, and never pitched or played the outfield for them. So went right to the infield.
Okay. So, my friend Dom from the Stanford Cigar Lounge wanted me to ask you this question.
Oh yeah,
You had you had played short, you had played third, and you had played in the outfield. Did you have a
yeah.
preference or a favorite position?
I love shortstop.
Okay.
Yeah, playing it short was great because you're in the middle of everything. The ball's going to come to you most likely most of the time. So you're always involved with something. You're communicating with the other infielders, the pitchers, and everything. So you're busy. Your mind is always going.
Mhm.
And that's what I liked about pitching too. You had the ball, you were pitching, and it was all you. Your delivery, you're throwing strikes, you're trying to get that guy out. And so I like that part of the game, the mental aspect of it. And I thought playing shortstop really helped.
Wow. Okay. So take us through the minor league journey a little bit. And was there a point where where your growth was frustrating you, or you were thinking about quitting, or where it just got to a point where you had to push through a ceiling? Was there a point where you were like, I don't know if I can do this? Did you have any of that?
No, I never really thought I couldn't do it. As I progressed through the Little League and high school and Babe Ruth League and all that stuff, there was a lot of scouts in the area of Clearwater, Florida. That's a baseball hotbed. Phillies spring train there. And so I was always around the game. And even after high school, after we got out, we had double session back then. So juniors and seniors would go to school in the morning. So we'd start school at 7:15 and be out by 12:15. And so a lot of us would go, we'd drive and we'd go to the Phillies spring training games and watch the games. And so I
Mm,
was always around it, and uh, as I got into pro ball, I never had the desire to quit or anything. There's always a ceiling that you want to hit, but you don't know what that is. That's the
mm,
thing. Like you don't know until you're actually in it. I always felt like my first year was the biggest ceiling to hit. I did well. I didn't hit a ton of homers. I don't know how many I ended up hitting, like seven or so, five or seven. But I had power. I could hit the ball in the gaps. I could run. I stole bases. I went from shortstop to third about 2 weeks in, and so that was going to be my spot. My manager, Fred Hatfield, who died about probably 10, 15 years ago, maybe longer. He'd always tell me, he'd say, "Hey, you're going to be the next third baseman of the Detroit Tigers. It's either you or Marty Castillo." Marty was in Double A, and I was in A ball. And
mm,
so my first few years, I played A ball, and I thought it was incredibly positive for him to say that to me. He just felt that, and that helped me my confidence, moving forward. I had some great coaches along the way. Probably my
mm,
favorite one was Eddie Brinkman. He always told me, he goes, "You want to play every day, you got to play every day." And and I never forgot that. He goes, "Never come out of the lineup if you're in it, or if you're sick or whatever. You just stay in that lineup." I said, "Okay." And
mhm.
I took that with me to the bank and played every day as much as I could, and just tried
Mhm.
to get better and prove myself every year in the off season. And yeah, I started having success in the minor leagues. It was good.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. So if you made a couple errors, or if you had a couple tough at bats, a couple strikeouts, um, did you have a reset? Did you have a way of refocusing? Was there something specific you did to get your mindset back to where it needed to be?
Well, first thing you got to do is you got to be able to accept it. I remember when I was early in my first year in '79, and I remember laying in bed struggling. I had got off slow, just not really sure. I don't know if it was really a doubt that I could do it, but just thinking about the game, like, because that was my job. I had to learn that baseball became my job when I signed. And I just remember my dad always talking to me, and he would drive over from Clearwater every now and then and watch some of the games, and he'd see us play when we were over near Tampa,
Mhm.
Dunedin and stuff. So I got to talk to him a lot, but he was just incredibly positive and just kept working. There wasn't really one particular thing I would do, but I like to work by myself when I was younger. My dad taught me the value of that. And I tell that to kids now, and I work with kids now. It's the practice you do by yourself, I think, that pays the most dividends, because it's just you and the baseball, hitting off the tee, throwing a ball against a wall. It's just you. And so you're working on things, you're mentally kind of processing. And I think that helped me a lot. So I would go hit off the tee for a little bit, try to get extra hitting if I could, but for the most part, just get ground balls and take BP, and just try to work on my swing. The coaches were good; they didn't really try to change you or anything. They just wanted to see if you could break through and see if you could, find success. And I started to have some success towards the second half of the year, and That's when I realized that I could do it. I could definitely do it.
Wow. Okay. So there wasn't any major valleys in terms of your ability and the idea that you were going to make it. It sounds like you were excited about to see what you could do with the next ceiling. It sounds like that you were looking
Yes,
forward to what's that
always. Al-
next level up experience for me.
Yeah, always looking to the next level. What did I have to do to get out of A ball? What did I have to do? Um, could I survive? Where I was, and could I be the best player out there? And so
Hmm.
you don't think too far ahead. You just think a little bit ahead, and you learn from your mistakes. That's in professional baseball. You get exposed quickly if you can't hit the fastball. They're gonna find out quick.
Mm.
And I could hit the fastball is one thing I was very good at. And so you just keep playing, you keep getting better. You learn the things each day. The things you learn are subtle, they're small, they're adjustments you make. You try different stances, you try different things, see what works, and you learn along the way how to handle being out there and focusing on what you're trying to do. And that's part of the pro game is putting the distractions away and just trying to focus on what you're doing.
I spoke to Steve Springer, who's a hitting
Hmm.
coach for the Blue Jays, and he mentioned that one of his key tenets was to imagine every day as opening day.
Yep,
That, in
that's
other words, 0 for O. And he had a lot of other tenets that one, but that's the one that really struck with me. Um, so how do you what is your I noticed also that you were a hitting coach as well, not that you
yes.
you you were so how would you approach an at bat, or how would you recommend somebody at your level to handle an at bat? What's a good way to go about it?
Well, the best way to go about it is, I mean, it's. Let me go back a little bit.
Sure.
It's hard to go back and wipe out everything that has been in the past. So, and I guess some guys are better at it than others. I would always think about what I did previously so I could try to get better. I used to keep a notebook when I went to winter ball. I used to write down in a little notebook. I remember, gosh, I don't remember where I saw that. It could have been like in Baseball Digest or whatever. Used to tear that book apart, reading stuff. And guys used to write down, their at bats, the things that they remembered. And so I tried to, create that history. If I wrote it down and help me remember. And
Mm.
so part of getting out of a slump or struggling, I think you have to go back and have a plan when you walk up there, first of all, and look for what you want to hit. If you're not a good breaking ball hitter, don't look for it really. You just look for that fastball. You're probably going to get one, and don't miss it if you can help it. And I always seemed to hit the fastball. Didn't really swing and miss a lot in a fastball, unless it was out of the strike zone. But just look for balls that you can hit in the strike zone, and that was always my game plan going forward. Is hunt that fastball.
Okay. Okay, great. So let me ask, so you talked about you're talking about coaching and stuff, and your dad was obviously there for you as a coach early on. And when you got to the bigs, um, was there anybody that took you under their wing, that mentored you, that really had an impact on you and I'm talking about player at this point, not necessarily a
Yeah,
manager.
yeah. So when I got to the big leagues with the Tigers, um, Enos Cabell was on our team, and he was tremendously impactful for me. He really, uh, talked to me, and if I was struggling, which I did, I struggled early on with Detroit early on in '82, and was up there about 3 or 4 weeks. I got sent back and picked up where I left off. Hit the ball good in AAA. Got up there early. I mean, I was only in the minor leagues for 3 years and a day,
Hmm.
and I credit that to going to winter ball every year and getting those at bats. It really helped gain my confidence because you're facing top quality pitchers, guys that pitch in the big leagues even. So you're gonna face guys in a pressure situation that really helps develop those important at bats. And Enos used to always talk to me. He goes, "Hey man, just keep do what you're doing. Look for what you want to hit.
Hmm.
Relax, just have fun, do the best you can. Sparky Anderson was my manager. He was a little tough on young players, and it took me a while to kind of get used to his style. But went back to the minor leagues in '82 for gosh about 3 months. Get called back up in August and just killed it up the rest of the year, and
Wow.
had a real good second half of the year, and played really well. And I knew at that point I could definitely do it.
Okay. Now, if a lot of what you're known for is the 30-30 guy,
Hmm.
30 home runs, 30 stolen bases in a season. I think he did it three times.
3 times, yep.
Three times. Were you known as that power speed person early on, or did that develop as you got further on into your career?
It's a good question. I mean, I could always run. I wasn't extremely fast, but I was quick and I was strong and I could run. And I learned how to steal bases. I really kind of made it kind of based it on math, knowing what it took me to get from my lead to second base, and then learning how to get times from pitchers when they come set and their
Mhm.
release, to the plate and stuff, and how long that took. So I started to figure out that, if I knew that this was my time from my lead to second base, and if I had the pitcher's time from home to the plate, uh, I could kind of gauge on whether or not I could make it or not. That was my
Mhm.
first light bulb that went on. But I remember reading way back in Baseball Digest about Ricky Henderson getting on base,
Yeah,
and he wanted to get on, and he wanted to be a nuisance on the bases and be a pest and make those guys pay for walking him. And
right.
so I never forgot that. So as my career started to unfold in the minors and then in the big leagues, I'd be walked and stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try to steal here, get on second, try to score a run. Bud Harrelson used to always tell me, if you could score a run or drive in a run every game, one of those two things, you'll have a good season and a good career. And I never forgot that. And so I always made that a focal point to do one of those things. And so even if it took a lot of pressure off, because even if I was like 0 for 2, 0 for 3, my last at bat, if I drew the walk, then if the situation was good, I could steal and get on and try to score. So there was always something I was trying to accomplish every
Mm.
game that really, really helped me. So I hit for power in the minors, double A, started to hit some homers. I think I hit 20 in double A. I hit home runs in the winter ball, hit some home runs in triple A. And I just, I hit a few in the big leagues and early on, but I just tried to be that balanced guy that made things happen. And that was really my focus.
Hmm. What did you do with nerves? Um, when you had nerves, whether it be postseason nerves or regular game nerves, did you have rituals, pre-game rituals, or things you did during the game to kind of, or did you just allow it to happen? Like what did you do there?
That's the hardest thing there for a young player. It seems like nowadays players don't have that as much as they did back in the day. But um, dealing with nerves, the mental part of the game, I think becomes more of a focal point than physical. And what I mean by that is, like in the minor leagues when you're coaching, I learned this. It's kind of a sliding scale. So you're working on the physical stuff, the swing, the shortening of the swing, being quick to the ball, all that stuff. You got to work with players to be able to achieve that. And as they get older and you graduate kind of through the minor leagues, the mental side of the game becomes more and more of a factor. And so by the time you get to double A, you're facing that's kind of like the line where guys either are going to make it or they're not. And when you get to double A, because most teams would send their best prospects to double A. They've had some success in high A, which is a good league. When you get to double A, you're facing more of the guys that, you could go to the big leagues from double A. So you're facing guys that can do some things on the mound, and uh, opposing players they're bigger, they're a little stronger, a little faster. So the game does speed up, and you have to kind of learn how to adjust to that. And so by being multidimensional, it's a good thing to have, because the more tools you have, then you could accomplish something during the game to help your team out. and it makes you more valuable. And so I always tried to take that to the extreme if I could. So as I coached, I would try to develop guys in that vein where they're out there trying to accomplish something every single day. It's not
Hmm.
hitting the ball the ballpark necessarily. It's getting on base, getting that base hit when you really need it, just working counts and things,
Sure.
and don't miss your pitch. And those are the things. And when you get on, try to make things happen on the bases. And if you could do that, you got a chance to do some things at a higher level.
Okay. So what's great about that is if somebody keeps their mindset as looking at the game as an experience, a multi-dimensional experience, if somebody has a bad
Correct.
at bat, but they're into the team and helping the team,
Yes.
they're like, okay, I'm gonna make a play in the field. I'm gonna make a throw. Um, if you know, I'm gonna do something and maintaining the same even keel so that I can be a
Yeah.
team player, not a stat player.
Correct. Yeah. You don't want to chase stats. That's something that you can't control. You just have to control that one game, that one at bat. And if you could make yourself multidimensional, you do have an opportunity to kind of show or flash, during the game, making a nice play, turn a double play. Jimmy Leland used to say, you know, you can make errors, it's going to happen, but when that guy hits a ground ball to you in a double play situation, you got to turn it and you
Right.
got to make that routine play. And so those are things that were important to make the routine play, turn the double play when it's there, and defensively that'll take care of itself. And then offensively, just take things one game at a time and not get too far ahead, and don't think too far back. So
Okay.
that's how you deal with the nerves. That's how you deal with
Hmm.
playing. Just it's 162 games in the big leagues, and you're not going to put up 100 RBIs, in the first week. You just got to like do it a little at a time, and just keep playing each game one at a time, and do the things like Bud Harrelson used to say: either get on base, drive in a run, score a run, do something like that, and that's how you develop numbers at the end of the year.
You were saying something about not getting ahead of yourself, about being there's a present moment, there's a presence.
Mm-hmm.
And if Wayne Gretzky would anticipate the puck going where it was going to go. He just knew he had
Yep.
that sense. Um, Michael Jordan talked about almost being a puppeteer in a sense where he was so present, he felt like he could dictate the experience of the other players. And I think sometimes people, when they get nervous, they get a little bit ahead of themselves and they
Yeah.
want to over accomplish and it takes them out of the now and it means their focus is not quite here. So you make a very distinct point. I mean, John Starks was talking about when he had that shooting slump in that final game in the playoffs, he said he got a little bit too ahead of himself. He wasn't in the now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think people talk about a lot of that comes from trusting the work ethic, trusting the work that you've put in so that it's automatic. And I think John Wooden, who coached UCLA basketball,
Mm-hmm.
would have guys shoot 500 free throws or 500 shots from over here. And they're like, well, I can do that. He goes, yeah, I know, but I want you to do it 500 times so that when it's a tough clutch moment, it's automatic.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
a good
about
point.
being present. So being anxious takes you out of the now, puts you in the future, and being depressed or being down on something you did puts you in the past, and your whole experience of your physiology is not here.
Yeah. It's
So I
true. It's a
think,
good point. Yeah, it's good stuff. You have to. Another thing I learned is through coaching is each guy comes into the system, and they have certain things they do really well, and you always want to accentuate what you do well. And
hmm,
so I think what John Wooden was doing was making guys shoot that 500 shot, you know, because that's what they do well, and you want to accentuate that. So you always have somewhere to go. As a player, you have to learn what your skills are, and you have to accentuate the positives, what you can do really well. Because
hmm,
when it is crunch time, when the pressure is on, you have to go to somewhere where you know you're comfortable, where
hmm,
you know you can have success. Baseball is different in a lot of sports because as a hitter, you're reactive. In every other sport, or if you're pitching is proactive. You have control. Hitting, you don't really have complete control. So you have to teach guys how to think. Okay, where do I have control of this at bat? What can I control? And if
Hmm.
guys are thinking what they can control and they're anticipating the situation coming to them, for example, being a shortstop, like I know uh, this guy's probably going to hit the ball over here. So if I move over here, anticipate he's going to hit the ball over here, then I'm already one step ahead of that play, as
Hmm.
opposed to being like, I don't know where I'm going. So therefore, I'm just going to react to it. That's okay. But as the game gets faster and the players get better, you have to learn how to anticipate where the ball is going to be hit earlier and know exactly what you're going to do. So whenever the ball is hit, you know the play that has to be made as the ball is hit, as opposed to like figuring it out as the ball is coming to you. You already know like ahead of time what you're going to do.
Hmm.
As a hitter, the control thing is difficult because the pitcher has the ball and he may not give you the ball you want to hit. So in order for you to be more in control and more in the present, you have to try to get that pitcher to throw where you want to hit. And so there's different things you can do where they're moving around in the box for one thing, looking for certain pitches maybe, which I didn't learn till later in my career. Looking for certain pitches to hit, um, and that puts you in control, so to speak. Uh, I don't want to say guessing because guessing means you don't know the answer, but if you're anticipating the answer, then when you recognize it, you're like, That's the answer. That's the pitch I want to hit." You see that already, and so you learn how to anticipate things
Hmm.
before they happen, whether you're in the batter's box or in the field. And so, and even if you're on the bench, you're watching the pitcher on the mound, you see his times to the plate, you're anticipating getting on first or second and trying to steal that base. So you're always anticipating the next move. And so if you do that, you're not going to be shocked by when some guy does it.
Hmm.
Um, if you think about a chess match, right? These guys aren't just like, okay, what's he going to do? They're anticipating what the next move is, or even three moves ahead, so that they know exactly if this guy moves his chess piece there, then that's what you're going to do. You're going to counter that, and you're thinking ahead, and that makes the chess game a little bit easier to play. And so it's the same thing in baseball or any sport. If you anticipate what's going to happen next, you can prepare yourself so that when that does show, you can make the proper move, make the proper reaction, and all of a sudden the game slows down. And that's what you want to
Hmm.
be in, is in that zone where the game slows.
Hmm. Hmm. The zone. And
Yes.
I bet you sometimes your eyes would get really big when you guessed right. It's like all of a sudden, like, oh my God, it's happening. And you're like, you're just
Yeah.
waiting for that ball. And next thing you know, it's gone. That must
It
have been a
makes it
really
so
good
much
feeling.
easier. So much easier.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing stuff. Now, in terms of teammates, and you're talking about things like situational awareness and you're talking about gifts and stuff. Is there one player that you can think of right off the bat that you're just kind of blown away by either their instincts or their gifts or talents that they just you're just kind of almost in awe of them?
Man, there's a lot of guys I can think of that are in that, but there's a few that come to mind first. Guys like Alan Trammell,
Okay.
uh, yep,
Detroit.
yep, Keith Hernandez with the Mets.
Hmm.
I mean, he would talk the game at another level,
Mm.
and it was one of those things where I'd go to him and ask him things. You know, one thing you have when you're a player, especially at the big league level, but even in the minor leagues, when you walk on the field for BP, you know who the best players are on the other team and on your team. Obviously, you know the ones on your team. And so I learned a long time ago. I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh all the time. And he used to say, if you want to be good at something, be around the guys who do it the best. You know, get information from the guys who are successful
Hmm.
and learn what
Right.
they learn, what they know. Try to pick their brain.
Yes.
If it's in business, get around the best business guys.
Yes.
If you're in sports, get around the best sports guys and ask them and talk to them and
Yes.
try to get information that's going to help you. And that Keith was incredibly valuable that way, defensively and offensively. And I was never there in the beginning, because when you're when you're when your game is developing, uh, you learn that pitchers aren't going to let you just hit the fastball all the time. They're not going to put it there where you're going to hit it all the time. They're trying to keep it away from you. They're trying to see where you'll chase. They're trying to see what pitches you can hit and what you can't hit.
Mhm.
And once they learn that, then they have a game plan against you. So you have to always be
Mhm.
developing your game plan to stay one step ahead. And
Right.
so that's how you learn. Another guy, Daryl Evans, when I was in Detroit, he always used to say, look for that fastball that where you can hit it, and the, just remember they're not always going to do that. But I never learned how to handle myself when pitchers just aren't going to give. They're not going to give in.
Mm.
So you have to learn a game plan how to do that based on your skill set, and that was the hardest thing because I was always a good fastball hitter, never really good breaking ball hitter, but I hit enough breaking balls, enough changeups, where I was okay. But a guy with a good one or a pitcher that would never give in and it was going to make you hit that. Or as a switch hitter, I was weaker from the right side. I knew that late in the ball game, Whitey Herzog was going to make me hit right-handed. Jim Leland was going to make me hit right-handed. These
Mm.
guys are going to put me in positions where they could game plan against me. So I had to figure out ways to make myself successful in those situations.
Mhm.
And you just have to try things. A lot of times it's just trial and error
Yep.
and talking and getting ideas and then trying to put them into practice and see what works.
Yeah. So you're going back to that chess game again, right?
Always, always,
Yeah. So it's
always a chess game.
there. So you have to really pay attention to the game. And I guess if you're in the dugout and you're not playing, you have to make sure you're in the game. Because actually, when
Yes.
you come into the game off the bench, you better be into the flow of the game. You better have a sense of what you're getting into.
Yeah, we didn't have video to watch like the guys do now. You can go in any locker room, in the video room, and you could pull up at bats from yourself from years gone back, and you could pull up video from pitchers that you're facing or any of that
Mhm.
stuff,
Right.
situations, and you could see everything. But back in the days, we didn't have that, so we had to rely on our scouting reports, but mostly watching the game. If you just watch the game from the dugout between, watch a pitcher warm up between innings. Um, you could watch other players. You could see a lot and how they're trying to apply their craft to the game and learn little things that when you're in that situation, maybe you could use.
Mm.
And so you're always watching. So if you watch the game, you could pick up everything you need. You don't need to spend time pouring over the video and the stuff that they have now. There's a lot of too much information
Hmm.
now. There's no way to keep it. You just got to narrow it down to one or two things, and
Yes.
when you're in the batter's box, try to keep it as simple as that.
Yeah, that's where it could be information overload at some
Yeah,
point. And analytics are great, but you still got to play ball. And we have to
exactly.
we have to practice things enough so that they're conditioned so you don't have to think about it. And
That's
that's
right.
where the work ethic comes in. And a lot of people don't realize that because if you have to think about it, the pitch is already gone. It's already past you.
It's like a boxing match. Everybody's got a plan to get hit in the face. Then
Right.
it's
Mike
different.
Tyson. Yeah.
Everything. Mike Tyson, right? So everything changes when you're actually in it, but you got to have some kind of a plan going up there. And if you could stay in it long enough, you're going to
Hmm.
find success.
Hmm. So speaking of success, and we're going to go into team success now. So tell me about, and I know people probably ask about it all the time, but tell me about the '86 Mets and when you realized that team was special and what was it like to be a part of that and how did that complement your skill set?
Well, coming up with the Tigers first, the '84 team was incredible. We won a series back in '84. That was my first full year. And so being around that mix of veterans
Hmm.
was incredibly helpful. And when I got to the Mets in '85, I knew what winning was about and how to do it. And I saw in '85 that we had a team that could win. And we won a lot of games in '85. Going into '86, we added a couple of pieces, Tim Tuffle, Bobby Ojeda primarily, guys like that could really help us get to the next level and win a championship. And one thing I noticed was the amount of toughness that that team had. The 84 team had it in spades, and so the 86 team. And so when you have that mental toughness and you know you're good and you have the pieces, success almost becomes automatic. And
Hmm.
I think that the difference now is you get teams that are put together based on the numbers, but they don't really have the toughness that you need to get through a season when you are the one that's being hunted. You're the team that's being game planned against primarily. Uh, you have to be have that toughness so that when you're in those difficult situations in a tough game or a tough series, that's what's going to get you over the hump. If you're always questioning yourself, you're not going to be successful over time. It's just not going to work that way.
Mm. So you had a sense of the of where the team was headed. How does a team maintain its chemistry, and how did you guys avoid things that might get in the way of that?
Well, chemistry is something that just happens, and it happens mostly when guys like each other and they like playing together. They have guys that accept their roles, that
Mm.
are role players, and accepting that and just trying to do things as a team as much as you can off the field, even. And so the more you're around each other, the more you are comfortable with guys. And some guys may not get along, but if you're the more you're around each other, that stuff seems to work itself out. And the teams that I've been on that did not have success, they always seem to have kind of a separation in the locker room. That one guy would be over here, or a group of guys, another group of guys would be over here, and they never really intermingled and never really did things together. So that when the games would happen, game time was being played, uh, you didn't have that cohesiveness, of guys knowing their roles, guys pulling for each other, sacrificing for each other. That's how you build chemistry, by
Hmm.
having that mindset of doing that. If you don't have that, uh, and you don't have coaches or managers that understand that, it's going to be really tough to win. You just can't put guys out there. And when you look at the teams that win now, I mean, they have incredible uh, cohesiveness, and they're willing to play the game and sacrifice for each other, whether it's getting a bunt down, um, uh, hit and run, do whatever you got to do to help your team win the game. And you win a game by one inning at a time. And you win a game by there's three phases: there's pitching, hitting, and defense. And I believe you got to win two out of those three to have a chance to win.
Mm.
That's how you do it. And it usually starts with pitching.
Okay.
Pitching and
Um,
good chemistry.
Pitching at good chemistry. Okay.
Yep.
And and you notice in the playoffs, it's like who's got the best pitching, right?
Yes, you do.
It's huge because great hitters, if the guy's on, it's hard to hit him.
That's right.
Be the
That's
greatest hitter
right.
in the world.
Correct. Very
Um,
tough.
who is the best pure hitter you've ever seen?
Wow, that's a good one, man. Pure hitter, I would probably say like guys like Trammell, Alan Trammell,
He brought up again.
just
Wow.
incredibly pure. Lou Whitaker was a pure hitter. Uh, and with the Mets, I'd say Hernandez was a pure hitter.
Hmm.
He worked on his game, but he was a pure hitter. He could control the barrel very well.
Hmm.
As a coach, David Wright was a pure hitter,
Okay.
unbelievable. When I was a coach, Robinson Cano was a pure hitter.
Mm.
These guys could really hit. They just could put the barrel on the ball. It seems at will. And there's more guys. I just can't think of them all right now.
Okay.
But there's a lot of guys that were tremendous hitters that could manipulate the pitcher and look for pitches that they wanted to hit and always get the barrel to it.
Okay. Um, so this one's going to be tough. Who's the GOAT? Who's the greatest baseball player of all time?
Barry Bonds.
Okay, I knew it.
hands down. And I mean, you could say Otani, he's in that mix as well, but
Right,
Bonds, I think, was the guy that, whether he did steroids or not, I'm not here to debate that, but
right.
uh, if he did, he didn't need him. And most guys in my era would say Bonds because he could get the fastball, he could make you pay on the bases. Very smart player, tremendous competitor, and I think that's when you have those qualities, you're going to be successful. And that's what made him the GOAT, at least in my eyes.
Well, I mean, listen, they were walking in with the bases loaded.
Yeah, I mean
I mean, come
that
on,
doesn't happen very
it
often.
doesn't happen. And if you take, I think if he had like seven MVPs or something like that, if you take away his seven MVP seasons, his stats are still insane.
Is that right? Wow,
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
shocked by that.
yeah. I mean, I don't remember. Like, I think he still would have had 440 home runs, and I forgot what his average was and stuff. And people forget he was a decent outfielder too.
Yeah,
Uh,
he was.
but people can say what they want, but I mean, he was scary. He had a home run at Yankee Stadium that went three-quarters of the way up the upper deck. I've never seen a ball hit there before, not even
He had,
close.
he had a home run in the playoffs against World Series against
The Angels.
Anaheim.
Yep.
Yeah, off Percival, I think it was.
Yep. He said it was the furthest ball. One of the guys in the dugout said it was the furthest ball he ever saw hit.
Oh, you could tell when he hit it, right? It was just a moonshot. I used to watch him and go, I could learn from him. I could see, I knew players that played with him that didn't like him. There's a lot of guys, he was not liked in the locker room very often.
Okay.
That's what I was told that.
Okay.
But they said he was the best player in the game, hands down. So that tells you something.
Okay. Um, so you getting into the latter part of your career, and did you have a sense of it was going to be time to walk away, or did you know like things were starting to change for you physically, or what was the sense and what was that like for you to start realizing that, you were going to have to make a decision of some kind?
Well, usually it starts with the physical and then it goes to the mental. So I knew physically, was having issues with my shoulders. My knees were good. My shoulders, I was having some neck issues and stuff. And it was just getting harder and harder to play the game the way I wanted to play it. And I went to see my last year was 95 with Chicago Cubs.
Yes.
And physically, I was not what I was. And I knew that it was getting close. And I was willing to walk away if that was the case. I could do that. I went to winter ball after the 95 season for a little bit. And that's when I realized that probably my time was up. And so I I walked away and went into coaching. I actually, not a lot of people know this, but I coached with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays back then, their first year in existence. I was a minor league coach, the hitting coach in their low A ball team. They only had a couple. They had one or two team, one minor league team, and I coached it, and I really enjoyed it. But the guys would always say, "Hey, take BP. Let's see you swing and everything." So I took a few swings in the cage, and then I took some BP for fun, just to have a good time. And I felt good. My body felt good, and I thought, "Gosh, man, maybe I could do this one more time. I don't know." So that winter, the Mets, I talked to them and talked to Joe McIlvaine, and he said, he goes, "Well, we're going to send a scout come watch you take some swings and throw and take ground balls and stuff, and we'll figure out. We'll see what can happen." So I was living in California at the time, and they sent a couple scouts out, and I did really well, and I felt good. And they signed me. They said, "Hey, we're gonna recommend we bring you to spring training and
Mhm.
see what you can do and go from there." And I said, "Okay, that's perfect." So I went to camp, and I was always a step late. It seemed like I was always a step behind. Never could really get my timing down to hit. I was always a little bit early, a little bit late, and just
Mhm.
didn't have enough time to get it together. And defensively, I didn't feel like I was quick enough. And so at the end of the spring training, I was in the meeting with Bobby Valentine and Joe McElvain, and we made a decision at that point. I was going to retire, and that was going to be it. So I gave myself
Okay.
one last shot, but yeah, physically, I just wasn't strong enough. Couldn't do it. Didn't
Yeah.
have the quickness I did, and I think a lot of that was because the way I played the previous 14 years, just put so much pressure and strain on my body that so I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but I played very hard, slid head first a lot, and
Mhm.
it just took its toll. I mean, I just couldn't get over that hump.
Wow. And then you ended up signing a contract for a day or whatever so that you could
Yeah,
officially retire as a Met.
yeah. I was there. I was there for spring training, so I ended up with the Mets uniform on when I quit, and I came back. I played a couple of days with my son in an independent ball team. I thought that's what you're thinking about in Rockland.
Okay.
And so that was when I was 50 years old, and it was that point where I knew I couldn't do it. I was getting my knees replaced like a week later, so I was like done. But I was able to get in there and take a few at bats, and it went good. I didn't get any hits, but I hit the ball good and got a walk, and just it was just good. I just didn't have the physical ability to do it.
Got it. So, what was it like? Well, let me ask a couple questions. Do you have any
Yeah.
regrets when it was said and done? Do you have any regrets when you look back on your career? Or do you feel good about that body of work? Is there something you would do differently?
I feel really good about my body of work that I left behind, but I think the one thing I could have done better maybe was eat better.
Okay.
I could eat and not put weight on, but I felt like with the way nutrition is now and the training that these guys are able to do, I think I could have got more time in, could have got some more years in if I'd have taken better care of myself with what I ate. I love cheeseburgers. I could eat those every day. I love ice cream. I eat that every day. Still do pretty much. And if I could have cut back on some of that stuff, maybe I could have got a couple more years. But at the end of the day, I mean, I played as hard as I could, as long as I could. And I don't regret anything that I did on the field. Uh, Winter ball I played, gave my very best shot everywhere I could go. And I don't think I left anything on the table as far as that goes.
Mhm.
So I feel good about my career.
Okay. And what was it like transitioning? And I know you were coaching and stuff, but I mean, like more towards what I would say a civilian status, having played in a career where people do retire early, but it's
Mhm.
something you did at a very high level. I mean, Major League Baseball is the top. You can't go any higher than that. You were also an all-star. You're a champion. You did things at the highest level. 30 for the 30-30 guy. Not too many guys can say that. So what was life like after that, the first few years? Were you listless? Did you find a groove? Did it take you a while to find a groove?
Um, so after playing, I knew I wanted to stay in the game in some capacity.
Hmm.
And so I went into pro scouting with the Mets. I took some months off, played some golf, just had some fun with the family, and did all the dad things for a while. And then, I wanted to get back into coaching. The uh, Scouted for 3 years, pro scouting. So I was able to do other organizations and see what that lifestyle was like. It was good. I enjoyed it. Uh, but the more I did it, the more I realized I wanted to coach and have more of an impact if I could impart some wisdom, uh, use the things that I learned along the way to teach somebody else. I wanted to do that,
Hmm.
and so almost immediately, I mean, after playing, a few months later, I was scouting. So it didn't really take long for me to figure out I wanted to be in the game. And so then after 3 years, I went into coaching, and I realized I really wanted to coach and I didn't have a desire to really manage. I just wanted to coach and be a hitting coach and learn how to do that. And I really enjoyed it. And so
That's great.
that was what I wanted to do, and I pursued that as long as I could.
Great, great. What advice would you have for a Little League baseball player if they were watching right now?
So my advice would be to always practice as much as you can. That's number one. You don't get anything without practice. There's no shortcut.
Right,
There's no shortcut to hard work. You can't not undo that. You have to do work, put the time in to perfect things, to work on things, to figure out who you are as a player. First of all,
right.
most young kids, especially little league kids, they don't know what they are. Uh, what we do at our facility in Nashville at Showtime is, we teach kids with we're not trying to win trophies all the time like some teams are. We want to win, but we want to teach kids how to do it in the right way. We're very faith based,
Mm,
but we try to have a good attitude towards it and teach kids how to get better, just a little bit better, right? So a little league kid, he's going to be trying to make his high school team at some point in his life, and we want to try to help them get the tools, develop the skills that they need, um, and give them a game plan how to do that, and
yeah,
get them so that if they follow this plan, they have a good chance of making their teams and being one of the better players, right? So we just don't know like how a kid's going to develop physically. There's so much out there right now, distraction wise with the internet and social media and stuff that can get in the way. And we try to downplay that a lot. We don't want to have kids, on their phones all the time doing stuff, on the phone. We want to get them in the cages, get them on the practice field, and just teach them the value of practice. And that's how they're going to get better. And there's really no shortcut for that. And the more we could do that and teach parents along the way as well, that is the goal, that we want kids to do the best they can, but develop them a little at a time. So the one thing I learned, like I mentioned earlier in the minor leagues, is you want to develop players to make to the next level. That's all you want to think about, with an eye obviously on the big leagues, but just get them out of whatever level they're at, get them to the next level. And so same with little kids, man, just get them to the next level. We play games, they play games, they'll play a good season, quite a few games,
mhm,
and learn the things that they can learn from that, but obviously do it in a good team, family friendly atmosphere that is going to develop people first. It's not necessarily,
mhm.
they're going to be a great ball player, but they're going to be very good ball players, but they're going to be good people. And that's what
Right.
we focus on.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's huge because I mean, sports is one thing, but
Yeah,
there's only so many hours, days, and that we're going to be doing that, and then the rest we're in the out in the world,
that's right.
and the world is baseball's hard, but the world is harder.
Correct.
And so how you go out and handle that? I mean, you can use baseball in your a team sport or something to help you navigate life, but it's who you become as a person, and I think faith is a very important part of that. Do you have any are you still connected to any of your teammates, and are they doing kind of the same things? Are they faith-based? Are they helping kids or anything like that?
I, I'm in touch with a lot of teammates. I see them often. Some guys are, some guys aren't. Some guys aren't even in the game at all. They don't want to be in it, or they're not. They just don't have a desire. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that's the legacy that we can leave. You know, is on the players that come up after us. Whether it's as a player, as a veteran player, imparting wisdom to younger players, which happened to me when I was a young player. Being able to do that to a younger kid and help that guy achieve whatever he can achieve in the game. Right? We don't know what we can be, but if we have an eye on the future, always trying to get better, develop that work ethic, that stuff never goes out of style, never gets old. And so, there's a lot of the guys I played with, they have the things that they do. Whether we have a foundation we just started. but there's guys who are involved, with their foundation or uh, whatever, little league kids, minor league kids, whatever. So ours is the 20 Foundation. That's what's called, the 20 Foundation. 20
Okay.
the 20 foundation.org.
Okay.
And it lays out our mission and what we're trying to do, and we're trying to help kids in any way we can, special needs, handicap, whatever we can do, we want to try to help. But we want to develop people first. That's our number one goal. And so I
Right.
think if we do that, then we're doing the Lord's work, and that's what we're trying to do.
Wow. Okay. Because I was just going to ask you, and I think that the answer has already been said, but 50 years from now, Howard Johnson, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as a guy who was a Christian, first of all, a good family man, good husband, um, a good coach, somebody who cared. That's what I want. I want people to realize that I was somebody who did care. And you know, we don't always, get to show everything, out there. People don't get to see everything you do. But I want the people that were close to me to be able to pass that story on, and that, through my kids, through the kids we coached, and that's what I want to be remembered for.
Wow. So that's there are six human needs, and one of the needs is contribution, to give something greater than us. And
Correct.
um, yeah, I've only been doing this podcast for about 3 months, and so I want to thank you because you're also a big part of my growth and part of the risk I'm taking
Ah,
and interviewing someone as special as you are and as amazing as you are. And I really
I'm humbled by that. Thank you.
I'm honored that you would take the time to be a part of this. And so thank you. And also thank you for showing up. I mean, you really, what I mean by that is your responses were beautiful. They were thoughtful, and you gave so much beautiful content for people, and people that want to learn and grow will benefit from this. And I thank you for that. And
Thank you.
anyway, so this is Will Cook, signing off from the Will to Win podcast. Thank you, HoJo, and take care, folks.